Hey there, folks. Scottsdale Travel Chick's sidekick here to present our ultimate visitor guide to the island of Maui. In this video, we'll cover all the top things you'll want to see and do on Maui, along with details of how to get there and how to get around, where to stay, the best times to visit, all the top sites, and much more, with everything called out on maps so you know exactly where things are before you get there. Okay, let's go. First up, just a bit of background on the island of Maui. Maui's nickname is the Valley Isle, based on the large valley in the center of the island lying between its two major volcanoes. Known as one of the world's top tourist destinations, Maui is loaded with stunning natural beauty, lots of high-end resorts, dozens and dozens of tourist sites, and water excursions of all types, from whale watching to snorkeling with turtles. Overall, Maui is a relatively large island at more than 7,000 square miles, and it's the second largest Hawaiian island behind the much bigger Big Island. Plus, those two volcanoes I mentioned earlier essentially divide the island into West Maui and East Maui, and unfortunately, make navigating the overall island quite time-consuming. So to this point, we'll be covering how best to hit all the sites in the most logical and efficient way later in this video. But first up, how to get there and how to get around. There's only one international airport on Maui, and it's located in the town of Kahului on the middle of the North Shore. From the airport, it's about a 45-minute drive to most of the major tourist-centric beach resorts on the South Shore. Flights to Maui will either fly direct from the mainland or connect through Hawaii's main airport hub in Honolulu on the island of Oahu. And by the way, if you happen to be stopping over on Oahu or any of the other Hawaiian islands, be sure to check out our top-rated ultimate guides for all of them. I promise you'll enjoy every one of them. Finally here, both taxis and Uber are available on Maui, but almost everyone rents a car, as it's the most convenient option for getting around the island and covering all the sites. The best times to visit. There's never a bad time to visit Maui, as the weather is pretty consistent year-round, with typical highs in the 80s and lows in the 70s. However, there are two seasons on Hawaii, one more wet and the other more dry. And on Maui, the months of April through October tend to see the least rain, while November through March are more wet. But when I say wet, it's almost never large thunderstorms or any all-day rains. In terms of activities, if you like whale watching, the prime season is January to April, and the big wave surfing season is November through March. But whatever time you decide to visit, just keep in mind Maui's busy seasons are the summer months when schools are out, along with spring and fall breaks. Where to stay? Okay, let's talk just a bit about where to stay now. There are basically two main areas along Maui's south coast which contain the bulk of all of Maui's lodging options. One is West Maui, running from Lahaina up through Kaanapali and Kapalua areas. Lahaina is the least expensive of these, but it was devastated by the 2023 fires, and it is still in the process of rebuilding. Kaanapali has the largest range of lodging options from affordable, at least by Hawaiian standards, up through very expensive. While Kapalua is considered the high end of West Maui, with places like the Ritz-Carlton and the Montage located here. The second main area is South Maui, running from Kihei down through Wailea and Makena areas. Here, Kihei is the most affordable area, while neighboring Wailea and Makena are higher-end areas with big master plan communities just like Kapalua. Lastly, although it doesn't have a ton of lodging options, the North Shore has some options in the main town of Kahului, as well as fewer still in the small village of Hana on the very east side of the island. We'll talk more about the best choice to stay in Hana later in this video. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get to the top things to see and do on the island of Maui. I'll group everything into 4 main areas which you can consider somewhat independently, possibly as individual day trips. They are West Maui, Upcountry Maui, Central South Maui, and the North Shore Road to Hana Drive. Let's start with West Maui. There's a lot to cover on this part of the island, and I'll begin from the airport area and work my way around in a clockwise direction. Iowa Valley State Park is first up. It's in the central valley of the island, and it's home to the Iowa Needle, a 1,200-foot spire in a beautiful and lush valley. You can take the short walk to the observation deck here, or the longer walk to see the waterfalls, explore the botanical gardens, and learn the history of the Hawaiian battle here that made the river run red. Next up are the Mahalaya Harbor area and Maui Aquarium. Mahalaya Harbor is the primary harbor for all ocean and sport fishing tours on Maui. The aquarium here is also a nice stop if the weather is not great on one of your days, or especially if you have some kids. From here, we're going to head north to the famous Maui town of Kaanapali. But before we get there, you'll first come to Olowalu Beach. Here you'll find a small historic village with some popular roadside shops as well, but the primary site here is the beach. This one is not overrun with tourists, and it's home to a pristine reef with sea turtles, monk seals, and large fish. If you're looking for a great place to snorkel on Maui, then this is it. You can walk in and snorkel from Olowalu Beach, but there's also lots of boat tours and kayak tours which will take you here as well. Next up is Laniopo'oko Beach. It's another more locals beach and one of the best for swimming. There's a natural lava rock wall which breaks incoming waves further out, and it's a great beginner-friendly snorkeling spot as well. After that, we come to the famous town of Lahaina. Lahaina has a long history, first with being a whaling town for decades, and then the primary tourist town on the island, with its very popular Front Street. But unfortunately, in August of 2023, it was devastated by a fire and is largely still closed for ongoing reconstruction. Hopefully, it gets back to its charming self in the future, but for now, there's no longer much to see here, sadly. After Lahaina, there are a few more roadside beaches, great for sunsets, before you get to Kaanapali. In Kaanapali, you have many great lodging options directly on the beach, along with multiple golf courses and the famous Whalers Village and Kaanapali Oceanfront Walk. Whalers Village is one of Maui's most popular shopping malls with its outdoor design and a large selection of shops and restaurants. It's a great place for a night out with dinner on the beach and a walk along the ocean. Kaanapali Beach itself was once named America's most beautiful beach. Today, it's a 3-mile-long beach lined with resorts and condo high-rises. It's not a particularly wide beach, but it is a great base for a stay on Maui for families, couples, and adventure seekers. Pro tip, on the north side of this beach is a famous lava rock outcropping called Black Rock. It's a fun place to visit to watch people doing cliff jumping and swimming. Plus, further out, there's some good snorkeling, and you might even see some turtles here. Moving north to the other side of Black Rock, Kaanapali Town continues, but the beach here is called Airport Beach or Kahekihi Beach. Here there are more big resorts and more oceanfront boardwalk, but this beach also has some nice snorkeling along a small reef only a few yards off the beach. As we move further north beyond Kaanapali, we'll next come to Napili Bay and Kapalua. Napili offers a calm, protected bay with a reef just offshore, and it's another great beach with the bonus of a cool restaurant right on the water. It's called the Sea House Restaurant, and the food is surprisingly affordable by Hawaiian standards. We ate breakfast there more than once and we'd recommend it. Kapalua and Kapalua Bay are right next door. Here, there's another great beach area, along with the most luxurious resorts in the area, with championship golf courses, numerous boutiques, and award-winning restaurants. The Kapalua waterfront is composed of multiple clear bays and sandy beaches, and also has a very nice coastal hiking trail. The most famous beach here is Kapalua Beach or Kapalua Bay, known for its beautiful scenery and excellent snorkeling. Keep an eye out for sea turtles, eels, and tropical fish. The Kapalua Coastal Trail I mentioned begins here and goes north for about 2 miles, ending at D.T. Fleming Park. Along the way, there's a detour hike to what they call Dragon's Teeth. This is a short but windy trail that follows the rocky shoreline to what they say looks like teeth of a dragon, hence the name. After this area, you come to that D.T. Fleming Beach I mentioned at the end of that trail. This is an excellent beach with lifeguards, grills, picnic tables, restrooms, and a playground, as well as a nice shady tree line to relax under. Moving north from the Kapalua area, your first interesting beach will be Slaughterhouse Beach. Despite the name, this is a nice secluded cove accessed by 80 stairs down through some old-growth trees. It's a nice, chill beach with great views. Just after that comes Honolua Bay, another cool, unique beach requiring a short but scenic hike through an old-growth forest to a rocky bay, which also happens to be a marine sanctuary, so there's plenty to see underwater if you're up for some snorkeling. 15 minutes further, you'll come to the northernmost area of the island, and with a short hike, dangerously called Acid Warzone Trail. Don't let the name discourage you, as it's simply named for the erosion of the rocks in this area, and there are some nice views here, and if you come at the right time, there's also an ocean blowhole here called Nakalele. After this, we round the north shore and begin to come down the east coast, and your next stop is Olivine Pools. These are some natural tide pools carved into ancient lava rock and named after their shimmering olivine crystals. But beware, there's lots of warning signs here about deadly waves that have washed people out to sea and to their death. After this point, the road becomes very narrow and windy.
Oh, this road is super narrow.
And most people may not like it. So, if you prefer, you can turn around here and catch up on some of the points you might have missed on your way up. Otherwise, continue along this crazy winding road until you get to Wai'anapanapa Ridge Trail. This is a very steep and challenging 4-mile round-trip hike, but with stunning views up along a ridgeline to a height of 1,600 feet. If you want something a little shorter but not easy, maybe try the Makamakoa Trail, which is close by. It's a 2-mile round-trip hike to a couple of really nice waterfalls. Continuing down the east coast further, you finally make it back to the north coast town of Wailuku. This historic town in central Maui has some nice restaurants with local vibes to finish off your long day. Our next area up is what the locals call upcountry, including famous Haleakala Park. But before I get there, just a quick shout out here that if you're enjoying this video, please give us a thumbs up, a comment too, or better yet, forward this to some of your friends. And please consider subscribing to our channel to receive more fun, informative travel videos just like this one. Upcountry is the higher elevation area of Maui, running up to the dormant Haleakala volcano in its national park. The first thing you'll come to in this area is Makawao Town, and it's more or less the hub of this upcountry area, and it's a small historic cowboy town with some art galleries, coffee shops, and local dining places. It's a decent place for a stop on your way out or back from interesting sights further up. One is the Ali'ikula Lavender Farm. It's a 45-acre farm and gift shop with a $5 admission. And close by to this is the Kula Botanical Garden. There are a few other farm tours in this area as well, but of course the big attraction here is really Haleakala National Park, or the House of the Sun as it's known in Hawaiian. It's one of the top sites on Maui and a must-do while you're here. Pro tip though, this place requires an advanced reservation booked online. And another pro tip to that is that your ticket is good for 3 consecutive days and also includes the entrance on the Hana side of the island. So if you want to do both, be sure to organize your days accordingly. Haleakala Park itself is packed with beautiful hikes, unique plant species, and a landscape that resembles the moon more than it does typical Hawaii. Visiting the park for sunrise is particularly popular, as well as catching a sunset and maybe stargazing in the evening too. You can do it yourself, but there are also many tour providers who do this trip. So if you want a pro to take you, consider it, and be sure to check out our recommended links below this video for who we think are the best choices. Finally, it's a bit out of the way, but if you still have the time in your day, consider Maui wine. Did you know Maui has a winery? They started making wine here back in 1974, and they focus on, among other things, sparkling pineapple wine. This is also part of Ulupalakua Ranch, where they have a small store serving farm-to-table food as well. I hear the elk burger is pretty good. Our next Maui area is South Central Maui. It's the second most populous area on the island, and it's most known for some wonderful beachfront resorts and beach activities. First up here is Kihei Town. It's perhaps the most laid-back town on this side of the island, and it consists of mostly condo and VRBO rental options. The Hawaiian Islands Humpback Whale National Marine Sanctuary Visitor Center is here. But why did they have to make the name so long? They make up for it though, as it's free to visit this place, and it's particularly worth it during the whale viewing season. There's also a decent set of beaches here called Komaloi 1, 2, and 3. Moving 15 minutes further south, you'll next come to Wailea Town and Makena, just next door. Wailea and Makena are master plan resort communities with multiple golf courses, high-end lodging, and fancy shopping. And the shops at Wailea is the commercial and tourist hub here. If you love luxury and high-end shopping, this is your place. It's not on the beach like Whalers Village and Kanapali, but it's close. And a short walk from here will bring you to Wailea Beach itself and Wailea's oceanfront boardwalk trail. It's a 3-mile-long waterfront walk in front of many beautiful resorts, and we'd highly recommend it if you're in the area. It's particularly nice at sunset. Family-friendly Makena State Park is next. This is a big place, and you'll find both Big Beach and Little Beach here, and both are famous for their excellent conditions, amazing views, and long walkable shorelines. And just offshore from this area are also popular Turtle Town as well as Molokini Crater. Both of these we'll recommend just a bit later in the video. And at the very, very end of this area is the remote Ahihikino Nature Preserve. It's a less visited but very unique place with lots of lava rock landscape and pristine coral reefs. And pro tip here, you'll very likely see some native goats out in the open. Finally, we come to the famous road to Hana. But before we get into the sights, I want to start off with 3 important tips. Number 1, we recommend you do this on your own, as you'll have the flexibility to stop wherever you want and stay as long as you want. But a super big warning here, no matter what, this will be a really long and tiring day trip. Trust me on this. Many videos won't mention it, but it will be. Because of this, number 2, we really recommend you consider doing this trip over 2 days with 1 night in Hana. And if you do, number 3, we recommend doing this on your last 2 days and 1 night in Maui, so that you finish the trip at the airport, as return flights back to the U.S. mainland typically leave late in the evening and from this side of the island. Okay, let's do that road to Hana now. Hana Highway is 64 miles of mostly very narrow road and twisty curves, sprinkled with waterfalls, swimming holes, hikes, lots of bridges, beaches, and great views. And as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a long day, hopefully 2 if you take our advice. I'll cover all the Hana Highway sites quickly here in a clockwise direction, and I'll skip some of the more minor sites due to time. The first site you'll come to is Baldwin Beach Park. It's a big beach and very scenic, and if you're not on this tour, it's a great place to spend a day at the beach. We thought this place was gorgeous. Next, we come to the quaint town of Paia. Home to celebrities and locals alike, Paia is an old surfing and plantation town that's unofficially called the start of the Hana Highway.
I'm gonna go get me some shaved ice.
Then there's Ho'okipa Beach, and it's famous for sea turtles and windsurfing. And note, the waves are huge here in the winter. Above this beach is also Ho'okipa Lookout, with sweeping views of the North Shore coastline and surfers down below. It's a great place for some pics and just taking it all in. Jaws Beach is next. It's famous for big wave surfing in the winter months, but it is hard to get to, and you have to pay $10 to park and then walk 1 mile down to the beach. Certainly skip this if you're short on time. Next up is Mile Marker Zero. It's kind of a tourist attraction in itself, but this is the place to reset your odometer and take note of your mileage, because everything after this I'll reference by rough mile marker locations. 10 minutes further down the road, near mile marker 2, you'll come to Twin Falls. It's one of the most accessible waterfalls on Maui, but it requires a short hike. It's worth it, as you'll get to see 2 beautiful waterfalls, and you can swim at the base of each. Even though they charge $10 for parking, I suppose it's worth it. Be sure to grab a fruit smoothie or a banana bread at the roadside stand on your way out. Next up, at mile marker 10, is Waikamoi Ridge Trail. You can do this short loop trail or take the longer hike, but maybe skip this if you're short on time. 1 mile further down the road is the 26-acre Garden of Eden Arboretum. In addition to a variety of plants and trees, there's a collection of birds that you'll also enjoy here too. Plus, a cool bonus tip here is just outside the entrance is a local fruit stand we'd really recommend called Savor Maui. And be sure to feed the peacocks while you're here.
Okay. Let's go to any more.
At mile marker 14 is Honamanu Beach. It's a small, secluded black sand beach. If you have a 4x4, you can drive all the way down. Otherwise, park on the road and make a short 10-minute walk. Between mile markers 16 and 17, you'll come to a slightly bigger parking area for K&I Arboretum. And it's a free arboretum kind of by itself in the middle of the woods. It's worth a short walk down for a look around. And this is one of the best places to take in some of those famous rainbow trees. Then, at mile marker 17, you'll come to K&I Peninsula. K&I Peninsula is a beautiful stop to stretch your legs, take in some views of the coastline, walk the lava field, and maybe have a snack at one of the food shacks here. After that, you're halfway to Hana. Ta-da! Just like that. And you'll come to the Halfway to Hana rest stop. It's more or less a big sign to attract attention, but there is a stop here to buy some banana bread, shaved ice, and other basics. Less than a mile away, near mile marker 19, is one of the better stops along the road to Hana. It's Upper Waikani Falls. These are perhaps the best waterfalls along the drive, and there's a swimming hole here as well. Next up is another waterfall at mile marker 24. Are you sensing a trend here? This one's called Hanawi Falls, and they are just off the road. But you can also do a short hike up behind the falls for some more interesting views. At mile marker 31, you'll have the option for a slight detour to 2 more attractions. One is the Hana Lava Tube, where they charge $15 to go into their lava tube and also a plant maze. And the other is Kahananu Garden, where they charge $20 to see their Hawaiian garden, with some amazing views. After these 2 options, we're getting pretty close to the town of Hana. And we now come to one of the biggest sites on the entire road to Hana, Wai'anapanapa State Park. Here, there's a popular black sand beach and some sea cliffs to explore. But the key point to note for this stop is that advanced online reservations are required, and the last entry is 4 p.m. They say this is the best black sand beach on the island, plus there's an ocean cave, lava tube, and blowhole. We made it here late in the day and wish we had more time to explore it, so don't cut yourself short like we did. And this is another reason to consider doing this drive over 2 days with an overnight stay in Hana, as you likely won't get here until late in the day. After this is mile marker 34, where we reach the namesake town of Hana. But this is not even close to the end of our trip. Although only a small village, this is the place you'll stay if you want to make this a 2-day trip. And by far, the best place to stay here is the Hana Maui Resort. Check out our detailed hotel review if you want to learn more about this place. After Hana Town, there's still more to see, and both Koki Beach and Hamoa Beach are up next. Koki's a nice beach with a food shack. This is a red sand beach called Koki Beach, just a little bit past Hana Town. While Hamoa is one of the least crowded beaches around, yet with white sand and gorgeous views. Finally, we finish off our road to Hana with 2 biggie sites near the end. The first is Wailea Falls, an iconic and popular 80-foot waterfall just off the highway with a swimming hole. It's a beautiful spot, so take your time here. Our final site on the road to Hana is another biggie, Haleakala National Park, 10 miles past Hana itself. And yes, this is the same park that's in central Maui, but this is the back entrance and with a completely different feeling. Advanced reservations are required, but if you remember our earlier pro tip, you'll know you can use your original entrance ticket here within 3 days, so plan accordingly. This place is home to, among other sites, Pipiwai Trail, Waikamoku Falls, and Ohio Gulch, or the 7 sacred pools. The first thing you should do here is stop by the Kipahulu Visitor Center and ask them about water flow conditions and any park closures. Then, Ohio Gulch, or the 7 sacred pools, is next door. And this is a short loop hike with views of the crashing ocean and the famous pools of Ohio Gulch. But honestly, unless there's been a lot of heavy rainfall, they're not that spectacular. The Pipiwai Trail starts just across the road. This is one of the most popular hikes on the island, and it's a 7-mile round-trip trail offering up views of 2 waterfalls and a walk through a bamboo forest. And after that, we enter the bamboo forest. This is kind of our destination without going all the way up. If you're short on time though, you can just hike to the first lookout point where you can view the 400-foot Waimoku Falls in the distance. After this, it's possible to continue to drive all the way around the island, but the road is terrible, there's not much to see, and rental car companies strictly prohibit driving it. So, from here, you'll turn around and drive all the way back. So make sure you have enough energy to drive safely all the way back. Otherwise, consider that overnight stay in Hana as we recommend, and then hit up the next day, whatever you chose to skip on your first day out. Well, there you have it, folks, our ultimate visitor guide to the island of Maui. We hope you enjoyed. Did we miss any of your favorites, or do you have a secret tip you'd like to share with others? Please let us know in the comments section below, and please consider subscribing to our channel for more fun, informative travel videos just like this one. Until next time, see you later.